What's going on, everybody? I'm Matt Ross. I'm the Known Wolf. Today we're going to be talking about finding yourself at 40. I'm going to give you some of the lessons I've come across along the way, as well as talk you through my journey a bit, and hopefully it can help you discover yourself at 40. So I'm going to jump right into it. One of the first things I could talk about is appreciation. Even if you don't believe in a higher power, or you don't believe in the universe or anything like that, you can still appreciate the things around you. For example, your health. Every time you wake up in the morning, you go to bed at night, and you're healthy, take time to appreciate that, because you don't understand how important health is until you've lost it. So when you think about other things you can appreciate, I think about, for example, when I go home, one of the things I look most forward to is a good meal cooked for my dad or my brother or one of my brothers, my sister, and some of the different places I can eat when I'm back home in Saskatchewan. So even appreciating a good meal, or the weather's nice, or even if it's not nice, you can appreciate, if you want to, you can appreciate your family. So many things you can appreciate in life. So when you find yourself in a dark state, or in a state of your woe is me, look around you and think about, what can you appreciate? Can you appreciate the day? Can you appreciate the fact that you have a nice place, warm place to sleep? They say one of the things that homeless people miss the most in general is just having a nice place to sleep at night. So even just having a nice place to sleep at night is something to appreciate. So find something to appreciate. Appreciate the fact you're alive. Appreciate your breathing. And as long as you have your breath, you have a chance. And a chance is all you need to make it happen. Another thing I've learned along the way is how the little things can make or break you. What do I mean by that? Well, how do you treat people around you? How do you treat your security guard? How do you treat the person you're buying your coffee from? How do you treat the homeless guy in the street? How do you treat yourself? How do you treat your friends? How do you treat your family? How do you treat people in general? And how do you react to things? Do you let the little things bug you? Like, for example, your girlfriend dropped the glass and broke the glass on the ground. Are you going to freak out, get mad about that? It's not worth it. You snap a shoelace. Is that enough to make you snap yourself? Or, as I said before, you hit a red light and you're late for wherever you're going. Is it worth your time and energy to let that bother you and ruin your day? Don't let the little things break you. You can let them make you. When I say make you, just accept what's happening in life. And whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. Because when you look back and you reflect on your life, you're going to see that it doesn't matter. These little things that bother you throughout the day that don't matter. Think about how many things that don't matter that you let bother you. Don't let the little things bother you. Don't let the little things make or break you. Very important. And also how you move. Are you moving in the world like a scared little wounded animal? Or are you walking in the world that you have created, that you're in the process of creating? How do you move? Are you moving like the king in your future now, as I like to say? Act like you've been there before. Act like you're already there. Wherever you want to be in life, you're already there. You got to move like that. You got to talk like that. You got to make decisions like that. If you're the king of your future now, if you're the king of your world right now, how are you going to make a decision? Are you going to make a decision like a scared peasant? Or are you going to make a decision like a confident king that's ruling his kingdom, or a queen that's ruling her kingdom in a just and fair way? And when I start reflecting on my past, so I'll get to my past in a second. Another thing I've learned is death is normal. Don't be afraid of death. The ticket to life is death. And you can't be afraid of it, because if you start moving around the world You start moving in your everyday life and you're just scared that everything's going to kill you. That's going to affect the quality of your life. You just have to accept the fact that if you're born, you will die. And everybody that you know who's lived will die. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The real question you need to ask yourself is am I living a life worthy of death? If you had to look, if you're at the end of your days and you have to look back on your life, will you say you'd had used your time wisely, appropriately? Would you say that you became yourself? Or would you say that you wasted your life and that maybe you should have made that change at 40 where you had the option to go from your day-to-day life and at your job, your 9 to 5, and you had an opportunity to maybe start your own business and you didn't take it and you just went the safe way? Don't look back with regret. Very important. So when I think about that and I reflect on kind of what brought me to where I am today. For example, when I was really young, growing up in Saskatchewan, and my first dream was I wanted to be a hockey star. I wanted to be like Wayne Gretzky. And so my youngest goal when I was, 8, 10, I wanted to be just like Wayne Gretzky. I wanted to be a hockey star. That didn't pan out. The next thing you know, but I learned how to skate and I learned how to play hockey and had a great time. Next thing you know, I wanted to be Kurt Cobain. So what did I do? I learned how to play guitar, I learned how to sing, and I did everything I could to be like Kurt Cobain. And I did that for a long time. If you talk to any of my friends, as stupid as this might sound, my dream was to live like a rock star and be dead at 27. That was my dream. But then what happened was I hit 27. I was still alive. I wasn't a rock star. And I actually met a rock star who changed my life. My friend Rob Stefanik made a movie back in the day called Suck, which is a rock and roll vampire movie. And it had a whole bunch of rock legends in it. And one day, he came over, he was my neighbor where I lived in Toronto. He came over to my place and he said, "Hey, Matt," come over and have a glass of wine. So I said, "Okay, fine, I'll come over and have a glass of wine." So I go over there, and who do I see sitting on the couch underneath a huge poster of himself, a Now magazine poster? I see Iggy Pop. My buddy has Iggy Pop over at his house. Iggy Pop was one of the stars of his movie called Suck. And so I was having a glass of wine with Iggy Pop, and we ended up talking. And I was able to ask him a few questions, but in particular, we're playing some music. So I played a song for him. At the time, the song was called "I Want to Die Young." And he was listening to the song, and then he says to me, he's like, "Matt," oh, and by the way, yes, he was wearing a shirt, okay? A lot of people say, was he wearing a shirt? Yes, he's wearing a shirt, okay? This is private life. But he basically said, "Matt, I love the sound of the song." He's like, "But the message of the song," he goes, "it's way cooler to live long than it is to die young." He's like, "I just think the message is wrong." And he told me, basically said, it's way cooler to live long than it is to die young. So right then and there, I changed the lyrics of the song from "I want to die young" to "I don't want to die young." And I changed my whole philosophy on the whole die at 27 thing. I think I was actually older than 27 at this point, but I realized that was stupid. And then I had this rock legend, the godfather of punk, the godfather of grunge, Iggy Pop himself, telling me this story. And he also told me another funny story, which I always thought was interesting, because I was like, okay, Iggy, let me ask you this question, because I want to know this. I always hear this thing. People are like, "Oh, those people sold out. This person sold out. That person sold out." I'm like, can you tell me, to you, what is selling out? And you know what Iggy Pop said to me? He said, "Matt, selling out is when you have a number one or you have a hit record on the radio. You're in New York City, in the streets of New York City with a needle in your arm, Everybody's making money off you except for you. You're being leached off of, and people are stealing from you, don't know it, but you allow yourself to be taken advantage of, and you allow people to make money off you or to use you. If somebody, and he goes, that's selling out, that's selling yourself out, not knowing your own worth, not knowing your own value, and allowing people to take advantage of you. And he said, now I'm here, I'm in Toronto. They offered me $40,000 to do the show at Dundas Street Square. And you know what? If somebody wants to offer me 40 grand to do a show, I'm going to do it. And I was just, and he blew my mind. This is Iggy Pop, man. The man. And so, and he was much older at this point. This is like 2009 or 2008, around there. And yeah, man, he blew my mind. So I was so blessed to have met a person like him, especially somebody that was so influential as himself, and to have him have a conversation with him. So thanks, Iggy. I don't have your number, I don't have your phone number. If you ever watch this video, please comment below. And then, so I wanted to be Kurt, but then I was like, forget it, I don't want to be Kurt Cobain anymore. And then I discovered a writer named Charles Bukowski. And, well, also, a couple side notes. So I was a musician, I had a band in Toronto, played, hundreds of shows across across Toronto in particular. And, I did live it to a degree. It wasn't huge or anything like that, but I did learn how to play the guitar, and I did do a lot of those things. But then the next thing I discovered was Charles Bukowski, a writer. And I was watching this I was randomly watching this television show, TV, and a documentary came on called Born Into This. And then it starts with Bukowski's poem. His poem's called Dinosauria We, but other people just refer to it as Born Into This. And it just talks about being born into this world. And he kind of goes through like an apocalyptic poem and blows my mind. Let's just say that. And then I started reading his books. I started finding some crazy quotes from him. Like, for example, I'm done searching for the woman of my dreams. I just want one that's not a nightmare. That was one of his quotes that I really was like, whoa. Find what you love and let it kill you. I mean, I was like, he was blowing my mind on levels. He's super funny, intelligent. He's writing about taking a dump, like having sex, fighting. He's writing about his ugliness. It was great, man. And so I wanted to be Charles Bukowski. So what did I do? I started writing books. And I didn't start writing until 31 years old. And then I released my first book called Dreg City in 2013. My second book, The Degenerate, 2014. No, 2012, 2013, and then 2014, I wrote my third book, which was called In Spite of My Generation. And I really loved it. And then I discovered, later in life, The Clash and Joe Strummer. So I did my Bukowskian day thing. I did my Bukowskian thing, lived my Bukowskian life. The Degenerate's a good description of my Bukowski years, really. And then after that, I fell in love with the music of The Clash and Joe Strummer. And I started playing music and writing again. And I started to find that Joe Strummer's lyrics and his presentation and just how he moved, I really appreciated how he did it. And I wanted to be like Joe Strummer. So my musical style changed a bit, and I really started learning Clash songs and Joe Strummer songs, and just really enjoyed his writing. And I did that for a long time, and then I kind of fell out of the music scene for a while due to bars and stuff not being open, and I discovered a painter named Jean-Michel Basquiat. If you guys don't know who Jean-Michel Basquiat is, he was a painter in the 80s. And I loved his artwork. In particular, Riding with Death blew my mind. His skull paintings blew my mind. And so what did I do? I started painting. And I wanted to become Jean-Michel Basquiat. So I started painting. And I did that for a while. And I didn't start painting till I was 40 years old. So I only started painting like 3 years ago. And now I paint all the time. I love my paintings. But I wanted to be Jean-Michel. And then now I'm kind of getting into my 43 now. And so now through doing all these things, I've learned how to write. I learned how to paint. I learned how to play music. I learned how to sing. And now I'm falling in love with doing these walk and talks, these YouTube videos. But more importantly, I don't want to be anybody anymore but myself. So now what I've done and what I'm doing is, for the first time in my life, I am discovering who I am. And I'm bringing all the talents that I learned along the way from the people that inspired me and the reasons why I learned how to do all these things. All those things are now coming together, and now I've been able to discover me and find out what I'm all about and who am I as a person. And bring all of those different talents that I've developed and honed over the years and put it all together into what's going to become my YouTube universe, and really express who I am and help people discover who they are. So when I look back on my life, I see how many people I wanted to be and never became them. And the whole time, what I needed to be focusing on looking for was really trying to find out who I was and discovering who I am. So now at 40 years old, well, past 40, but in my 40s, I've really started stepping into who I am as a person. Just a being having a human experience, really. What are some other things that I've learned about? Well, suffering, for example. Suffering is an opportunity for creativity. And that's the beauty. I mean, if you're suffering, if something's bugging you, or something's making you sad, or you feel like it's making you sad, start writing a journal, start writing a diary, and find a way to express yourself. I find expression is the best remedy for suffering. So if you're suffering, find a way to be creative and find a way to express yourself. And you'll find that in the expression, your suffering will leave you. Temporarily, it's always gonna be a part of your life, but suffering is what's allowed me to create my favorite songs, to make my favorite paintings, to write my favorite poems, my most heartfelt poems. It brought me into the direction of this artistic life I'm in, of this shamanic life I'm in, of the life of a teacher, of a wounded healer. Suffering. Where would I be without suffering? Boring, I tell you that right now. I wouldn't be me. So embrace suffering, understand that it's an opportunity for creativity. Another thing I want to talk about here is the power of stopping. So, what is stopping? Stopping is going nowhere happily. Let me say that again. Stopping is going nowhere happily. What do I mean by that? Think about it. Every single day, every day you have an opportunity to stop. What do I mean by stopping? So we're all out here facing the hustle of life, the hurry of life. Throughout your day, take opportunities to stop and give yourself a mini vacation. Give yourself a mini vacation from paying the bills. Give yourself a mini vacation from doing the dishes. Give yourself a mini vacation from what your boss expects of you. Give yourself a little time. Stop. Give yourself time to stop crossing things off your to-do list and just take some time. Take a few moments to just be. Be in the moment. Be with yourself. Breathe. Enjoy the fact that you're alive and that you are much more than your job, because you are not your job. You're not the contents of your wallet. So stop, especially if you're feeling stressed out. Especially if you feel like you're flustered. Stop. Take a seat. breathe, and enjoy the fact that you're alive. So, when I think about a lot of people, when they hit 40, what's happening is a lot of people, that's where people usually a lot of times they'll hit their, what they call the midlife crisis. Or they start looking back on their life and they start hitting the midlife regrets. And sometimes they feel like their life's been a waste. That's not it at all. I think you need to start looking at your midlife like a midlife opportunity. I call it the midlife opportunity. What do I mean by that? It's your opportunity to get right with yourself. It's your opportunity to reflect and find out who you are. It's your opportunity to truly step into the shoes as who you are. And let all those old role models, all those old idols, all those old heroes, let them die in the past. Because they aren't who you are. You are who you are. And one other thing I learned about going into my 40s is that every day you wake up, you are reborn. Every day is like a whole new life in itself. And anything's possible on any given day. So when you go to bed at night, think of it as you're dying. And let all your old self die. And when you wake up in the morning, look at it like a rebirth, another opportunity at life, another opportunity to change what you're doing, if that's what you need to do. Every day, every moment, every time you wake up in the morning, you are reborn. You have another opportunity to do all the things that you put on the back burner, all the things that you truly care about. What did I learn at 40? I learned the most important thing you can be at 40, or really spend your time exploring at 40, is yourself. And if you haven't found yourself yet, then now is a great time to start. I'm Matt Ross. I'm the Gnome Wolf.